What's good, people? It's your boy Clan, the Spurs fan, here with another video. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there because shout out to Jazz, who's a subscriber on this channel, that told me about the Pop's in-game interview. I actually didn't see it before because Spurs interviews are so hard to find, so it was really hard for me to even find it. But I found it, I watched it, and I want to talk about it because Pop said a few things in it that I thought was very, not necessarily eye-opening. What's good, bro? It wasn't necessarily eye-opening, but it was, I think he brought up some really good points and some promising points. I want to start with what Pop said about DeJounte Murray. So he talked about DeJounte Murray and talked about how we'll have more depth, you know, once DeJounte Murray gets there. They asked him about free agency. He said, you know what, you know, it always affects it, you know, whether, you know, who you have on the court, what your team is looking like. You don't know what free agency is going to be. So I thought that was interesting. But what he said about DeJounte Murray is he basically said DeJounte Murray, if I heard it correctly, that he could play two positions. So he was like, you know, he might play, you know, the point guard or shooting guard, and then he talked about how he might guard the other team's point guard or shooting guard and whatnot. So Pop is really high on DeJounte Murray, and I really wanted to know if he had anything to say about Derek White, like anything positive to say, anything negative to say. And they asked him about Derek White, and you know, it made me realize something. And I already knew this. What's up, homie? I already knew this, but what he said about Derek White was, I kind of like the fact that Pop said this. We know that Derek, like, I won't even, you know, I won't say it yet. Like, I just want you to think in your head, what's one thing, because this is what they asked Pop, what's one thing that Derek White could work on? Now, I'm sure you came up with your answer on what you believe that Derek White could work on. And it was the same thing I would have said. Exactly, Brent Forbes, confidence. That was exactly what Pop said. Pop said that he can work on shooting. Because at first he said shooting. That's it, just shooting. Because he probably knows that, you know, you're a good shooter, you need to be more of a consistent shooter. But then the second thing he said was confidence. And I think the reason why Popovich lumped those two together, shooting and confidence, is because to be a great shooter, you got to have confidence. Like not Brent Forrest, but Derek White before this season, when he was playing in the G League. When he was playing in the G League, he was lighting their ass up from three. Like, I was looking at him like, wow, he's going to be one of the great three-point shooters of this league. So when he came into onto our team or getting ready to play, you know, in the regular season, I kept telling people how great of a three-point shooter he's going to be. He ended up not being that. And he hit, you can tell he got some clutch gene in him because he'll hit a big shot when you need it. But his consistency as far as shooting threes, it ain't there. And I don't think it's his form. Maybe he can just tweak it a little bit. But like Pop said, it's confidence. He said that confidence in shooting. Criticize Murray much. I think the reason why he doesn't criticize Murray much is because Murray is just he's all-time confident. I think if he's going to have to be a little, says that, because he didn't say too much about it. He did say that he felt as if Derek White is a complete player, but then he kept holding back on it. He never just go straight in on Derek White as far as giving him all the praise that I feel like maybe he deserved. But at the same time, he understands that he needs to build. Murray, he said some good things about Murray. You know, just that basically he missed him. What else was in there? They asked Pop, which was very humorous, they asked him if he was going to join the coffee gang, and Pop said, no, I don't drink coffee, I drink other things. And then I was like, oh, I know what that means. And then he went on to say, sorry, I don't know what just happened. That was weird. But yeah, Pop just went on to say that he doesn't drink coffee. So I thought that was pretty funny. So he's not going to join the coffee gang. But they also asked him about Murray. I mean, not Murray. DeMar DeRozan, which is what I actually really wanted to hear. I really wanted to hear about what Pop has to say about DeMar DeRozan, because they asked Pop, should DeMar DeRozan or will DeMar DeRozan shoot more threes? And Popovich basically came out and straight up said, uh, wait a minute. Can you hear me? Let me know any few people in here. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, something's acting weird on my phone. Cool, you can hear me. But yeah, he went on to say they asked him um, about DeMar DeRozan. And they said, "Is DeMar DeRozan going to shoot more threes this season?" And Pop basically said pretty sternly, "Yeah, we're going to talk about that." He said that's something that him and DeMar are going to have to discuss. So, and he went on to say how the NBA has become a three-point shooting league, and we're going to need him. You know, he didn't say this, but basically he's saying, I'm paraphrasing, that we're going to need him to shoot more threes, basically. So I thought that was huge. I was shocked that it was asked. I was shocked that Pop answered it, but he said, yeah, pretty sternly, yes, we're going to have to talk to him. He also talked about how everyone overcame so much. And one thing I want to mention is, because a lot of people out there that's saying trade Patty, you need to stop saying that. And the thing is, Patty brings so much to this team. He brings a type of spirit to the team that you might not just see on the court, but those games where we came back, those games where we make a rally at the end, those winning streaks that we went on, that's partly due to Patty. And people don't understand. You automatically think that just because Patty doesn't put up 5 threes in a game, that he's not being effective. He's being very effective, because just as quickly as Patty might miss a shot, he will pump up the next guy next to him, or he would have said something in practice that ignites the fire, and then you see DeMar DeRozan go off. The whole reason DeMar DeRozan came to San Antonio and felt so comfortable as far as being a playmaker so quickly is because Patty pumped him up to do it also. Like, even him being a closer, that was Patty. Said that Patty was the one who came up to him and said, be our closer. So you gotta pump the brakes when you say trade Patty Mills. And Popovich talked about Patty Mills and was just talking about how great Patty is, how much he get things together, how he gets the guys together, how he's easy to talk to, he's a great veteran. Like, this is the type of guy you want on your team. He has a ring. Try to keep the guys with a ring on your team. I'm sorry. Your coach it's not great when your coach is the only one with a ring. It's always helpful if one guy on your team got a ring. It just helps. But yeah, he also talked about Rudy. They asked him if we're going to attempt to try to re-sign Rudy Gay, and Pop said, yeah. He said he's a guy that you want to keep. He's really easy to talk to as far as the young players. He's a great veteran. He's a guy that'll sit down with you for dinner, make you feel at home. He said that he made Lonnie feel at home. So he said, yeah, they're going to try to re-sign him. They're going to try their best to re-sign him. So that's a matter of fact. So all of us who was wondering, will Rudy be back? They're going to try. Pop and RC are going to try. Another thing about Pop, what Pop said, that I thought was very telling, and I think that, I don't know what just happened. Not only is Popovich a great coach, but the thing about Pop is he never oversteps his boundaries. Like, they asked him about, free agents and trades and all that. And Pop basically came out and said, yo, I don't have anything to do with that. He said, me and RC, and I believe this too. He said, me and RC Buford don't talk about trades. We don't talk about free agents. And I think it's really cool how Pop could come from the position in which he came from with the Spurs, president and all that. Basically make himself the coach. and then take a back seat to the general manager. That shows you what type of character Popovich has. That shows you that Popovich doesn't care about being a dictator. He doesn't care about having all the power for the franchise. He just care about winning. And he care about giving us fans a winning product, which he said in the interview also. But I just thought that that was pretty interesting that he doesn't talk to RC Buford at all about that type of stuff. And I don't think he does that because RC won't talk to him about it or they can't have a conversation about it. I think he does that so he can keep his position in as far as the coach of the team. He don't want the players to see him differently than the coach, and I think that that's a really cool thing. I always felt like teams shouldn't allow the coach to be the GM too, or let the coach do. I just think it's too much. Like that whole thing where Doc Rivers had his own son on his own team. It just rubbed me the wrong way, and they haven't won since. And Doc Rivers is a great coach, but they haven't won since he's taken over basically all the operations. So I think that's very telling of what type of franchise we have. Now they did ask him about LA, LaMarcus Aldridge. Talking about Marco. I'll talk about Marco in a minute. They didn't mention Marco, but he did talk about LA, and the only thing they asked him about LA was LA taking more 3-point shots as well or something, because it was right after the DeMar DeRozan conversation about threes, and he came out and basically said, we tried. LA isn't that comfortable with shooting threes, but we're utilizing it a little bit better. I mean, I don't know, but here's my thing. Like, Pop is talking as if everybody's going to be back. He was talking as if Brent Forbes is going to be back. He was talking as if LA will be back. Everyone will be back. I think the thing is, and I'm pretty sure RC Buford at least tells Pop before they make a decision. But Pop doesn't really, just talk about it like this is who I want to get rid of and stuff. But I have a feeling that that's part of it. I think Pop doesn't look in the future like us fans do, where we're like, oh, if we get this player, oh, if we do this, oh, if we trade this player for this, oh, if we do that. Popovich just takes who he has. He takes what players are on the team. He takes who he believes is going to be on the team, and he thinks of strategies in that aspect. He don't really think about the future as far as who he's going to have, here, there, and wherever. So I think that Pop is just in the mindset of, this is my group of guys, I'm gonna have to work with it, and he's not really thinking about trades because that's not his job anyway. That's how he sees it. So I think it'll come from our organization. It'll come from up top, as far as if they move LA and what they do with it. And of course they're going to tell Pop before they do it. It's not like they're just going to go and do it. You know what I mean? But I think that shows Pop's character. I think that shows his type of relationship with players. You guys talking about Marco Bellinelli. I'll say this about Marco. They didn't say anything about the interview, in the interview about Marco. But my thing about Marco is, I think Marco is he's a valuable player on the team. I think the problem that we're having with Marco, or you guys are having with Marco, and Spurs fans in general are having with Marco, I think the only problem is we got too much of Marco. And I don't think it's a matter of like, that's because Marco Bellinelli is trash. I think we got too much of Marco because his role on the team, it was too much weight. It was just too much weight. He has never been that type of player. I've always been a person, and I like Marco, but I've always been a person that liked Gary Neal over Marco. When Gary Neal left and we replaced it with Marco, I always thought Gary Neal could have won the championship with us. I mean, it was basically Marco was his replacement almost, and I didn't like it because I thought Gary Neal was better. But Marco Bellinelli is who he is. He's a big shot maker. He's an unorthodox shooter. He can make some crazy shots. He's very hard to guard around the screen. I mean, that's just who he is. But I think we got too much of him because his role on the team ended up becoming the primary three-point shooter at times, where we didn't have a shooter. And then we got oversaturated with Marco till now we feel as if he's trash because he tried to hold he had to hold too much weight than he needed to. Like for instance, when he was on the 76ers, he looked like a god. He was hitting big, some big shots in the playoffs or whatever. He looked like a god, but he was behind JJ Redick. He's behind Embiid, Ben Simmons. Like he, on our team, how our team was set up this season, especially with us not playing certain guys like Dante and Lonnie and stuff like that, he held a way bigger role than we probably wanted him to. So when he comes in and plays, whatever minutes, or he comes in and it's like, okay, we need some threes. Marco, can you give us some threes? And he's trying to force some threes. Then Marco looks terrible, and then we're like, trade Marco. I think Marco will be fine as long as we have some key players. As long as Derek White develops and gets more confident. That is a good thing, though. Derek White does need to be more confident. I don't think he realized he scored 36 points, and then he had like a bad game. I think it just killed his confidence. He needs to realize he's better than he think he is. I think it's something in the back of his head that tells him he's not. Because in his heart, you can tell that the man got heart. But then at times it's like he can disappear, and it's only because he's unconfident, not because he chokes, not because he ain't got heart. He's just a little unconfident. But yeah, what else? But yeah, you guys talking about Marco. I'm with whatever RC Buford want to do as far as Marco, but I'm not one to say that we just need to trade Marco, because I don't. Certain guys are in that weird like range where if you trade them, what are you gonna get? Are you gonna get a better? Are you trading them for another 3-point shooter? Are you trade them for? I don't know what you're gonna get. I don't know if you can get a better 3-point shooter than Marco. I mean, Marco is a good 3-point shooter. It's just that we got too much of him, and he's not a great defender, and he's one of those guys that you need to bring in when you need a shot, or a guy that you bring in just for a few minutes. But it got to a point where when no one was hitting threes, we relied heavy on Marco, and I think that's a detriment to his game, because we just focus too much on him. Trade LA for Nurkic and McCollum. Man, they ain't gonna give him no McCollum for LA. Oh wait, they might. Trailblazers aren't the type of player. They're not the type of team I think is like. This is my problem with LA. I always thought LA was a Trailblazer, because Trailblazers is a franchise that like making the playoffs, but I don't think they ever take it serious that they're gonna win a championship. I think Dame wants to, but I don't think the franchise as a whole ever takes it serious. It's like they're just trying to keep their team above water to make the playoffs and sell some tickets, and that's the type of franchise they are. They remind me of I guess kind of like OKC at this point. It's just we're just trying to get our money. So at first I was saying no to that, but that whole McCollum thing and Nurkic, they might take that. Who knows? They might take that. They tried to keep LA, and that would sell a lot of tickets if they got LA back. So who knows? I mean, that's not a bad. That's actually not a bad thing to mention. I still have a hard time seeing them give up CJ McCollum though. That would be pretty stupid, like really stupid actually. Fans would be pretty irritated. Yeah, I don't know if they'll let him go. Maybe they'll let go of Nurkic and a draft pick or something. Maybe something like that. Yeah, I don't know if they would just give up freaking CJ McCollum. I mean, he's a premier shooter. Clan thoughts on Rue Hetchimer. I don't think we'll be able to get him at all. I think you're the one who told me about him, because I don't keep up with like college prospects and all that. And I was looking at it, I was like, damn, dude is good. But I think he's like top 10. So we would have to make a trade or something to even get him. Okay, y'all talking about some prospects. But yeah, who I wanted to trade for LA. I don't care at this point. I mean, I really, and I'm not even trying to be somebody that's just like, oh, screw LA. It's all LA's fault. It's not all LA's fault. Everyone could have played better. Like, I'm not the one to say that. I'm never going to be the one to say it's all one player's fault. Like, of course it's not. But at the same time, I'm not going to use that as a shield to protect LA anymore because the dude, he just ain't got it. He just ain't got it. And I would be cool if he could just be a sidekick, but he can't even be a sidekick. So he's such a weird. He's such a weird. What's the word? Yeah, I guess he's just a weird player because it's like you want to be the guy, but then when you are the guy, you're not going to show up. And then we realize, okay, you're not the guy. This guy's probably the guy. So can you just take a back seat to him since you're not going to show up? And then if you take a back seat to him, you're really disengaged because you want to be the guy. It's like I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know what's up with LA. I would much rather us trade him though, but I'm not. Um, I'm not banking on it. And by the way, I talked to CG about the whole. I confirmed, or try to confirm it. About the whole. What's his name? Crap. Um, the trade with Wiggins, and yeah, he ended up saying that all that talk died. He said it died pretty quickly, not too long after he told us about it. So I was like, yeah. So I don't even know if that's still going to be a thing or not. So we just have to wait and see. Thoughts on Lonnie and DJ next season? I feel we'll be speedy on the court with those two. Um, yeah, we're going to be long, lanky, good defensive team. I think the only problem with Lonnie as far as defense is his predictions are pretty slow. I think when he predicts someone's going to be, it always throws him off. He got crossed over quite a few times, only because he didn't have a good feel for where the ball handler was about to go, and that's just a matter of watching. Probably just a matter of watching tape on that person and preparing and getting experience. So he'll get better. He's fine. He was a great defender in college, from what I saw. Right. He gambles a lot. Yeah, yeah. He gambles a lot. He gambles a lot and not much payoff. That's actually a good point. DeMar is better than LA. Yeah, of course. And will only get better with us because this was only his first year. Exactly. And wait, what did you say? And DeMar is much younger. Is he much younger? He's like 4 years younger. Um, and LA has already came out and said something on the line in the lines of DeMar, this is going to be your team in the next few years or something. So LA in his head don't even think he's want to win a championship. Like he don't care about winning a championship. He's like, I'm just living life. Uh, but yeah, DeMar DeRozan is much better than LA, for sure. And where you said that this was only his first year, I thought he was a Toronto Raptor for much of this season, to be honest with you. And that second game against Toronto, when he lost the way he lost, well, we lost the way we lost in the most humiliating way with Kawhi getting a steal at the like that was the worst way to possibly lose. But I came on live stream, like I was live streaming with you guys, and first thing I said, after the game, I said, you know what, maybe that was a good thing for him because this whole build up to playing the Raptors, I felt as if that became his championship. I felt as if he would disappear and then it was time to play Raptors and then he just wake up. And the second time he played the Raptors, I felt as if he woke up, he really wanted to go out for that game. And if he would have beat the Raptors on the second time, maybe he would have just coasted. Maybe he just would have been like, I'm content now. But I feel like that loss and the embarrassing way in which he lost against the guy who traded, who he got traded for, steal the ball and dunk it on the other end. I feel like that situation really made him. I feel like it made him wake up, and I felt like maybe it kept a chip on his shoulder a little bit because after that he played great. He was DeMar again, so um, yeah, he's gonna be fine. It was just his first year. He's gradually becoming a Spur. I think another reason why they want to keep Rudy is probably because DeMar too. It makes it a little easier on DeMar. 4 years is a lot in the NBA. I think DeMar is like 29 ish. Yeah, I thought LA was 33. It is 4 years is quite a bit in the NBA though. That's a good point. I mean, unless you Michael Jordan and it just doesn't matter, you're just gonna win championships no matter how old you are. Uh, yeah, I think he's 33 too. Yeah, we went in the slump from the period between the two Raptors games. Yeah, yeah. And after the second Raptors game, he just woke up. He just woke up. And I'm like, well, about time. Do you think we should trade Bellinelli and Bertans in order for Forbes, Loney, and Mills to have good minutes on the team with DJ coming back? Uh, like you can't get trade happy, with Bellinelli and Bertans, and I mean, what you gonna get, I mean, the reason why the Spurs work is because they get smart guys that know the system, that have some hustle, that have some drive, and they get players from that's foreigners from all around the world, and those different perspectives coming together, every single practice, after practice, talking about politics, religion, um, things that's going on around the world, and certain players coming together for this cause, because that's my teammate and I'm helping him with what's going on in Australia. Okay, well, I'm helping him with what's going on with Venezuela or whatever. It it shows it shows unity, and I think that that's why the Spurs do that. It makes something special on the court because we are a small market team. We're not going to be able to just get big names like we want, or just make big trades like we necessarily want to. But the reason why we have sustained success, not necessarily because of the talent, is because the group of guys you have, they have an understanding for basketball and life. And you get men. You don't get we don't get little boys on these teams. When we get players, they're not little boys. Usually they're men. They're grown men that experience, something, or they just got a level of maturity, not necessarily experience something, just have a level of maturity. They're very mature. And you can't say that for a lot of teams. So I think that's what makes us work. So as far as trade this player, the only reason why I say trade LA is because I just don't know if it'll work. I just don't know if this LA experiment will work because he can't be the main guy. He can't be the sidekick. I don't know if it'll work. I mean, I just don't. And then he gets paid so much till it's like I would rather have something like the Clippers where I just got a whole bunch of role players, kind of, not necessarily role players. They got some really good players, but like everybody that just does something specifically great for the betterment of the team. I would rather have something like that than to have a player where the ball has to stick and then in big moments he's just not going to show up. I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but but won't the team be crowded for minutes, or am I tripping? I'm probably tripping. Crowded for minutes? Not necessarily. I mean, think of it like this, man. Like, especially in the playoffs this season, um, was anybody crowded for minutes? And we're saying that we have the addition of Lonnie and Murray. Let's just say we keep the team as it is right now, and those two are implemented on the team. I mean, there's so many players that didn't play. There's so many players that didn't get minutes. Like even in the playoffs, it seemed as if they lost faith in Bertans. Bertans didn't get minutes as the playoffs went on. So I think there was and Popovich talked about this. He said there was no cramming for minutes this season. He said there was no situation where we had like our minutes were pretty solidified because we were kind of thin. And I think and he also said that when we get Lonnie and Murray, that's just a good problem to have. You can always split it up, man. Like it's not a big deal. Like Lonnie could get 12 minutes. It just depends on their progress. You don't know what type of team we're gonna have, but as far as saying we're gonna be worried about so many guards, we said that about this season, coming into this season, and then as the season went on, we realized, no, we kind of thin, and no one is cramming for minutes. It was pretty solidified with who was going to play every night. So with the addition of those two players, there was always room on this roster this season for them to play. In the playoffs, particularly, it's not like we can't play Derek White and Murray. Like Spurs are really good with minutes. You know what I'm saying? They're really good with minutes. They're really good with knowing when they're gonna put certain players in. So they'll be fine. International culture behind the Spurs is the reason I love this team, and the family aspect behind the team. I agree with you on that. Yeah, most definitely. That's why they're great. It's not necessarily because we trade a lot of players and we get big names. Like we can't get big names. The reason why it works, which is brilliant, is that you bring in all these different ethnic groups that have a different perspective of basketball. They come together and it becomes something great. Like think about how differently Tim Duncan, Manu, and Tony played the game. Like they approached the game totally different, and then when it came together, it was like, damn, I don't know how to stop y'all. So I think that's what makes the Spurs so good, and I think we're gonna find that diamond in the rough. We're gonna have that next foreign player that's a diamond in the rough. I can see it. Even Lonnie's kind of unorthodox. He plays the game kind of differently than I usually see. You said honestly, I felt like Demar had to play too much at times. Uh, yeah, he did. He did. I mean, dude, this like that's what I'm saying. Like when you say like, are we gonna be too crowded at the guard spot? Don't think about it. Don't, if we got a whole bunch of good guards, we cool. Don't worry about it. The only thing we need to worry about is probably getting another center because we really needed another center this season. So we need like a defensive center, somewhat. I don't need no star. We just need some type of defender that's decent at the center position. I don't know where you could find that. Maybe some guys that I don't know. Like you guys mentioned Tobias Harris at playing power forward. I would love to have Tobias Harris, y'all. I would love to have him. I think that's probably somebody they're gonna look at too. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Man, what if we could get him and Boban? Boban will be the answer for real. Boban's really good. People see Boban and just say, "Oh, he's so tall." It's funny. It's like, no, dude got skill for real. Like that's what you don't understand. People don't understand that he actually got skill. Dude got skill for real. Like that's what you don't understand. People don't understand that he actually got skill. And Tobias Harris probably won't ask for too much money because over the past couple years, didn't he get like a 15 mil contract, and now it's like around 5 mil. I mean, he gets shipped around a lot. I don't think he'll be able to have a lot of like asking uh, asking behavior. I don't know how to say it. Um, but yeah, don't worry about the lineup. I mean, if we just get a whole bunch of good ass players at the guard position, we'll be fine. Like the Spurs will split it up in some way. Don't worry about too much. I mean, we don't know. You can't just trade players because you assume we're gonna have too many of them because injuries happen. you know. And like you said, I know what I was gonna say. If you notice, DeMar DeRozan in LA, they didn't get to sit at all, and usually that's like a cornerstone of the San Antonio Spurs. They get to sit their veterans. They didn't get to sit at all. I mean, I think it was one game. It might have been just the game against the Warriors that they sat. I don't remember another game that they sat. So, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Mason, now I'm going to Clippers. Man, why you always in here, Kawhi, harassing me? He said goodbye, number two. If Kawhi goes to the Lakers, Spurs, Lakers rivalry renewed. He ain't gonna go to the Lakers. If he go to the Lakers, that's a stupid move. They ain't gonna do nothing. For real, they ain't gonna do nothing. Lakers ain't going nowhere, y'all. I'm sorry, Lakers ain't gonna. I'm not saying they can't make the playoffs. They got a lot of talent, and they'll have a lot of talent because LA. But yeah, they're too. Whew, their franchise, man. It's rough right now. Pretty sure he'll want 20 mil. Who, Tobias Harris? We could have traded for Tobias in the summer. The Clippers wanted to, but we all thought it was done. What would we have traded him for? Oh, LA? Did they want LA? Is that what you're trying to say? Let me know, Brent Forbes. Did they want LA? Is that who the Clippers wanted? I'm getting ready to go off, but I actually really want to know that. For Kawhi? Oh no, yeah, that's not. Oh yeah. Oh okay. Instead of tomorrow. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's stupid. That's really stupid. That wouldn't work. And I love Tobias Harris, but no, that would have been stupid. Tobias. I'm not. I would never go as far as saying Tobias Harris is better than DeMar. Like, no, he's not better than DeMar DeRozan. But he's up there. They're totally two different players. But I love Tobias Harris' attitude. I love his demeanor. I love his clutchness. I love his shot selection. I love his basketball IQ. I just like him. He seemed like a contagious guy, and he wants to win. You can tell he wants to win, and he's not afraid of the big lights. Just from what I've seen of him, um, but he's not a superstar. I won't even know. I don't even know if I go as far as saying he's a star, but he's really good. All right, man. Later. I'm about to get off myself. No, he not better than Demar. Hell no. Tobias is like a 6'9" Bradley Beal. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And he's like a hybrid. He's like between that small forward and power forward spot, which I actually really like. I like players around that range. But all right, y'all. I'm about to go ahead and get off. I just wanted to get on here and talk about because I listened to it. And I just had some quick thoughts on the stuff that Pop said. Um, and I appreciate Jazz. I don't know if he's still in here, but appreciate Jazz for telling me about it. That was really cool because I didn't because I did see the clip of him talking about his contract and joking around about it. But I didn't know that was the same interview. And yeah, it really was 17 minutes. I listened to the whole thing. So, all right, y'all. I'll get with you later. Till next time.